What's going on, guys? You're about to watch the first episode of Road to Part 1. And honestly, from a quality standpoint, not the most proud of it, right? If, as you will see in the video version here on YouTube, and this clip is only going to the video version, there is going to be a bit of a discrepancy with the way my video lines up with my audio. There's a lot of desyncing stuff that I'm going through right now. I have pretty much solved down OBS on my end, but as of that recording, we were not able to iron out. So it is going to be a little bit weird to watch my video. Just kind of ignore that. You know, watch Peter's beautiful face. Watch his luscious locks of hair. Watch that more than me, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, the audio's still there, still intact. Next week and weeks forward, we will make sure that the quality bar is a bit higher than this episode. My apologies on that. I just wanted to just really bring back the video versions of Road 2 instead of just having the thumbnail on there, you know? And, yeah, it didn't work out too well this time, but we will definitely be better in the future. What is going on, guys? It is your boy TKD. Want to do here back in place. This is, of course, Road to Part 1, the weekly podcast series dedicated to any and all things Last of Us Part 1 Remake, from news, lore, reactions, and upon release, our review, and maybe spoiler cast to end this. I don't know what there is to spoil about Last of Us, but with me, of course, is the golden hair, golden boy, Peter Szptek. Is it Szptek?
Yeah, you got it. You got it in one, man.
So I realize now it's your at. Your at is like the phonetic spelling. I see. Yeah. That's smart. I like that. Introduce yourself to the people. You know what I'm saying? First time on PlayStation Source. What's good, bro? What's good?
Yeah. I'm like so happy to be here. I've been following you since I like started writing about games, man. Since like the DualShockers days, because I think like you did a collab with them for, I think, maybe the release of like Miles Morales.
Yeah, it was
like when the PS5 launched.
It was a representation you know, matters in gaming and all that, and like we did that around Miles Morales. Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
man. But so I've been a fan of you forever, and so yeah, so I write about games, and you and I have traded video advice back and forth.
Yes, sir. Many a DM.
We do IGN guides together and all stuff. Yeah, man, I'm just like so excited to be here.
Heck yeah, bro. Heck yeah. And of course, links below in the description to your Twitter. You're great hip. I listened to episode 100 at work the other day.
Oh, of my podcast?
Yeah. Big fan. I liked it.
I appreciate it.
I liked it a lot. I think it sounded like it was a new intro that you guys did for that episode, but I love the intro. Very, very good stuff. I liked it a lot. Definitely go check it out on different podcast services. I assume you're on everything. I have you on,
it's on
Apple Podcasts, but
Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all that. It's if you're curious, gaming news every week.
Indeed.
Just talk about like what's going on, look at Metacritic scores, talk about all that sort of stuff.
Yes, sir. And of course, some housekeeping here. You can catch this show and Hitbox, of course, not on YouTube, but on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, etc. via the anchor link down below in the description. Go hit that anchor link where you can get all of the different links to different podcast services that we are on. And of course, you can also watch it on youtube.com PlayStation Source, as well as PlayStation videos, all that I do on there as well. Like the video and or rate the podcast. It really does help us get seen by more viewers, so we can grow the PSS family down below as well. Let us know what you like or dislike. I'm down for I'm down for criticism. I'm down for
both.
You know what I'm saying? Throw it at me.
I get it.
Throw it at me. You know what I'm saying? And of course, go down below where you can find our Twitter and Discord server in the description. All those are both open for you all to join. And also, speaking of joining, shout out to those that have joined the channel via the join button to become a member of the channel via the $1 Prince tier with the Musa, and our $5 Kingdom members, just like Caleb Kaiser, Iraq Knight, and the homie Owen as well. There's still notes about stream series. We did a stream on Stray. The situation that I'm at right now in terms of internet quality and like streaming might not be the best moving forward. So we'll see if I'll do more streaming, but I may do a different way of showing y'all my gameplay. We'll see. But beyond that, of course, make sure to leave reviews on podcast services, all that great stuff. But I wanna start with you. You have been playing 2 games, one that I just mentioned, and another that I played recently that I love.
Yeah. So
what's up?
I've been playing Stray. I just got the platinum on Stray. Either it was last night or the night before. Are you a platinum hunter?
I'm
Kevin?
not.
You're
yeah,
not?
no.
Okay.
I'm one of those rare breeds where like I'll go for the plat if it's like a game I really love, right? But I won't get it like day one. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah. I'm
yeah.
sort of on the same team there. Like I do not need to get a platinum for every single thing I play.
Yeah.
But Stray's got like a great trophy list, man. So I just got that down. I loved it. Are you a fan?
I am.
Yeah.
I did like it. I did do the YouTube and TikTok review for the game for Tech Raptor.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep. I did do that. But that was more of me speaking through someone else's words, right?
Yeah.
And I was doing that mainly. But like for my personal opinion, I really enjoyed the game. Really like not like a crazy like groundbreaking game, right? But like I think it was a cool 5-6 hour experience. You know what I'm saying?
It's
good
great for what
vibes. I liked it. Yeah,
it's
I liked
you play it and it's a good time. Like it doesn't need to be more than that,
Yep.
But I'm playing Neon White.
Yes. Sir.
Every moment of my spare time, I've been trying to get all the platinum like awards like for each level, trying to find all the gifts. Damn.
Bro.
Damn.
So good.
Damn, that is a good game.
No, that's a real that's no. Oh, I also play Stray, so I can talk about it with you. I forgot that's on my list too. I really did like enjoy Stray, right? But like, Neon White though. Neon White's the one, you know what I'm saying? That joint was so fun.
Wild too, because like looking at the trailers, I was like, yeah, that seems okay. Kind of like a deck building speedrun shooter? Yeah, it's okay. Maybe not my thing, but I checked it out because enough people were talking about it, and like, wow, that game kicks ass. Can I say that?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, Neon White is so good, man.
Like, it's just, I mean, because you're not the first person that like has said this, where like people thought that it was like a deck building type of game, because it seems like we like see cards, okay, deck building, like some sort of like deck building combat, right? But they're really power ups. They're really pickups. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And
it's like aesthetic alone. There's really nothing about like decks or cards in it other than just like picking them up. Yeah,
and actually, and I heard, I forgot if it was a tweet or a interview, but the person that made Neon White, I believe he has a bigger team now, but he was also responsible for Donut County. Right.
Yeah. And Ben Esposito, I think.
Yeah. And like he was saying that, he like tried to model guns and everything, but like they just never looked quite right to him. Sure. So he's like, fuck it, I'll just do cards. Like that's like great. Literally the like reasoning. Yeah.
It works. It's so unique. It's
so good.
Really so good.
I just love the way.
Finished it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm still in the last like act or so, but like it's good stuff.
Yeah. Are you into the story as well? Because I know people, and honestly, no shame. Like if you're not into the story, hey, I get it. Just like skip it, whatever. The game offers you like a skip button to skip all that if you don't want to do it, right? Which I think is wise on their part. But I actually was into the story. I don't know. I dug it.
I think it makes a bad first impression.
That's fair.
In my opinion.
That's
like, because I'm into like the trashy anime visual novel stuff. Like I love like Danganronpa and whatever else. Yeah. Like, I won't lie, but like I was even with Neon White when it started. Like, this is a little much for me. But I think, I don't know, 2 hours in, it starts to be like, it starts to shed a little bit of that like the caricature like the caricature characters that there are and stuff like that. So I'm more into it now that it has gone on, and as I've sort of started to see like, oh, this is what it's actually about.
Right.
But
right. Yeah. No, I really enjoy it. Shout out to Steve Bloom, the homie Steve Bloom, big fan. But yeah. Oh wait, I forgot to talk about. Oh, I actually so in preparation for the remake, right? Yeah. I want to replay The Last of Us Remastered, of course, right? a lot of people were like, Kev, are you sure? Because you're about to play the remake. There's no narrative changes really, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're going to be playing the same game, you know, from like that standpoint, right? All over again. And I still just want to have it a bit fresh in my mind just so I can make proper comparisons to the remastered, right? And just have it more in the brain, right?
Yeah.
But I decided to do a little something different where I'm playing it on grounded. The first time I've ever.
That?
It's been quite interesting. I was gonna stream it, but then the stream went kind of choppy during Stray, and I was like, man, let me record it with just some commentary, and that may or may not be edited at some point, and may or may not go up because I'm having a great time with it. Like it's, you know what? Okay, it is a challenge. It's not like okay so far. Right, I may be like an hour. Like I just got Ellie, so like I'm very early in the game, right?
Okay, yeah,
very very early, and I can already see like okay, like I remember things like how is this gonna be possible in the underground like hotel type thing? Like when you that seems impossible. You know, how is it gonna fare when we get to the like beachside like building? What is the word I'm looking for? Like that, like beachside bunker type thing. Because I know that was a pretty intense combat section. Not sure how that's gonna work in grounded, right? But so far it's been okay overall, right? I am having troubles. Like I forgot that they hide UI elements like your health and like your ammo count. Like that's a oof. Like okay, all right. Yeah,
it's like 1 or 2 hits is gonna take you down, right? Like
I'm very very weak. Yeah, it's like you know, it's your So you got to really be on point. But what's messing me up a lot is these NPCs, bro. Tess got me killed like 4 times last night, bro.
Oh really?
It's like they'll be like near me, and then they'll move to my position, and they'll shove me out of the way, and expose me, and then I'll just die.
Dang. Yeah, and then
like it's not like intentional. Like it's just like the like friendly AI is trying to get into the same cover as I am, and like it will just mess me up.
But they're just sort of pushing you around.
Yeah. It's not like intentional, but you know, it is what it is. So like, you know.
Yeah.
So far so good.
Well, dang,
so
that sounds tough. I've never done that just because it's like I really like the mechanics of the Last of Us games, but like doing it on such a hardcore difficulty, it just seems like maybe too much for me and my patience and time.
Yeah, usually I don't, right? Usually I'm like, I'm down for like a normal playthrough, right? I'm down for hard difficulty, right? But I don't go for the ultra, like I'm not trying to like have a bad time. You know what I'm saying?
No. Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll see.
I'm excited to hear more about it as we keep doing this.
Yeah.
Give me updates.
I'll definitely. Because I started now. I should be able, yeah. And then I want to do God of War on Gimme God of War, which I hear that is actually ridiculous.
So I actually just played God of War for the first time this past month. I know. Here's the thing, man. Like everyone has been like,
no, but that's fire because you get to go into Ragnarok so soon. Oh, that's lit.
Yeah,
that's lit.
Everyone's been like, you got to play it, dude. It's so good. And I'm like, I'm sure it's pretty good, but like everyone is saying like, dude, it's so good. And for me, when people are doing that, I'm always like, is it gonna live up to the hype? Probably not.
I hear you. I feel you.
That game is a 10 out of 10.
You love to see it.
Oh, yes, sir. It is so good.
Yes, it is so good. Yes, sir. Road to Ragnarok coming soon, ladies and gentlemen. Road to Ragnarok coming soon.
I don't know if that Give Me God of War difficulty would make it better for me, because I didn't really struggle with like a lot of the combat, but like there are certainly sections in there where it is like tough and complicated, especially if you're going for like those Valkyrie fights and whatever. But yeah, dude, that is a good game.
Yes, sir.
You heard it from me first. Yes, 4 years late. It's a good game.
Ragnarok coming in hot. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes,
man.
Sir.
I'm so excited.
But yeah, those were the games we played. You know what I'm saying? Just a quick little conversation. But we're going to go to the main topic here, which is what is The Last of Us Part 1 PS5 Remake? And should it exist? You know, a lot of people like to talk on the timeline, about like, is this necessary?
Yeah.
You know? Or the question that I even hate, is it worth $70? You know what I'm saying? There's that whole thing too, you know. I'm sure it'll get brought up here, but first I want to just run down like the overall just, bones and meat of this game. What is it from a more objective standpoint? what we got working here. So most of this info is from PlayStation blog and the 8-minute, no, around 10-minute breakdown that they released last week. Yep. Following the leaks and everything. But yeah, so, you know, there's just a few of these. I'll just run down a few of these and then we'll kind of have an overall conversation. If you want to stop at something, feel free to let me know. You know, feel free to interject. You know what I'm saying? But
perfect.
The Last of Us Part 1 Remake is out September 2nd for PS5 and PC at a later date for $70, $80 with the Digital Deluxe, and $100 Firefly Edition, which is probably still sold out at this current point.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, pretty sure it is. I'm going to get I usually go for the Digital Deluxe every time. Yeah.
It depends. It depends on what's included. For this one, like, I don't know, it was just like different like gun skins, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like some modifiers and like stuff that you get like mid-game from the jump.
Yeah.
So you know, it's not like anything crazy, honestly. Yeah. I just like to why not, you know, whatever.
I get it. No, I totally get it.
It will be running in native 4K 30 or a dynamic 4K targeting 60 frames per second. Obviously, I'm going for that 60 frames joint. Clearly, haptic feedback is in the game as well, and they cited some different examples like feeling the shot when you shoot a shotgun, and then the pump as well as melee combat and jumping and all that. They're even going to have haptics in the quiet moments where you're petting the giraffe, that famous Last of Us scene. Adaptive triggers will be in the game as well that will simulate trigger tension with weapons and ramping resistance with the bow as well. 3D audio as well will be in this game so you can hear enemies behind you, etc. High dynamic range and fast SSD loading as well for the PS5. They also have rebuilt character and face models. I want to ask you this. So, do you like are you pleased with the facial and character models in the remake so far that we've seen? You know?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that The Last of Us Part 2 is probably the best looking, like, facial capture we've ever seen in a video game. I think there are other games that sort of come close, but I think really The Last of Us Part 2, like, blows everything else out of the water. Seeing from what we've seen from the trailers and that 10-minute breakdown, whatever, seeing those updated models in that older game, it's just like a continuation of that for me of like, oh my gosh, these just look so good. So like from that standpoint, like, you know, you compare and contrast like the original PS3 version and then even the PS4 version and now the PS5 version, like there's clearly a difference between all that. Like I think it does look really impressive in that front.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. No, for me for sure as well. Like and what I'm really most looking forward to is the way they're able to have a more detailed face model and they're able to rig the old animation work to newer models to add more detail to them, right? Like when you look at spoilers for Last of Us, if you've seen never Last of Us, sorry, my bad. When like Joel is crying when Sarah's in his arms, right? Like his face, like he's crying, but like it's still a very like static face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see like how scenes like that look in the remake, right? Or my favorite scene in Last of Us, which is when Joel and Ellie are having that conversation in that random house. Dude. When Ellie runs away from Tommy's. That's my favorite. One of my favorite scenes in games.
Yeah.
Totally. Mighty Thin Eyes. Bro. Oh, I need to see that.
It's gonna look awesome.
Dude, it's gonna go crazy. It's gonna go crazy, man. That's one. That's like a top 5 like scene for me in the game. Period. Like I love that game. I mean, I love that scene and the game.
Agreed.
They did say here that we do have the same character models for in gameplay and cutscenes as well that provide a much better transition to gameplay from a cutscene, right? They cite a lot more physics objects in different scenes, so you'll be seeing a lot of glass breaking, concrete chipping, etc., to make the world just feel more lived in and more lively. And then we're getting to 2 aspects of the remake that are most compelling to me. Right. And things that like I'm hoping really do like bring up this game. Right. The AI tech is seeming to be from Last of Us Part 2 for the enemies. Right. Where they're going to be a little bit more sophisticated. They're going to be able to know, when to flank. They're going to just have more contextual awareness of where you're at and where the friendlies are at, too. And then also for the AI buddies as well, where they're going to be having not only exposure, where they understand where the enemies can see, right? But future exposure as well, where they're going to be able to tell, okay, if an enemy rounds this corner will be open as soon as he rounds this corner. So I can go over here and, you know, get into cover as well. So like, it's gonna be from that level as well. So really, for me, like I'm really excited to see how the AI is really upped in this game, and also the motion matching animation work that is from Last of Us 2 will also be in this game. What that essentially is, as far as I'm aware, just a really quick explanation, is it has, so there's a bucket of animations for a given character. And so what it does is that since it has a lot more data and a lot more animation segments to choose from for a given animation, what it can do is it can look at where the character model is currently at in a given animation, and it can choose the nearest one that looks closer to it to make it more fluid, you know. So you can go from like prone, well, not prone, there's no prone in this game, I wish there was, but like yeah we have thoughts, yeah definitely. But like you can go from like a crouch to like, you know, just a movement, or like a crouch from aiming down a sight, a lot more smoother than it would be than it was in a given animation that you would see in the original Last of Us. That's like my best explanation of it. There's just a bunch more animation data. You have any thoughts on the AI and the motion matching for
I think this is going to be the to be honest, the thing that, going back to the original Last of Us, and I mean the remastered as well, so maybe you can actually speak to this since you're playing through it right now. Like, I'm curious how that AI has aged, because when I think back on it, like I don't remember it being poor. I played it in 2020 before Last of Us 2 came out, so like I don't really remember it being like leaving anything to be desired. But in Last of Us 2, those enemies, like that AI, that's smart stuff. And that's really reactive and really, you're able to do a lot of really cool stuff with them. So I will be interested to see like how different those are from the remake to the original. But other than that, this stuff, like, yeah, this is cool. But I think the fact that you are missing some of those Last of Us 2 features, like we talked about, like prone and stuff, it does make it a little bit less enticing to me, because yeah, you have all this stuff from Last of Us 2, which is great, but then you do lose some of that. Like it's not an exact copy of the entire like gameplay system, you know?
Yeah. I've been very vocal on the channel about it, where it's like, you know, after seeing this info dump, right, and you know, them being upfront like, hey, yo, like it's not quite Last of Us Part 2 gameplay in Part 1, right?
Yeah.
I have two sore spots. One, I mean, well, two technically. Like, I just wish that crouch and prone were in this game, right? Like, the way Part 2 gameplay like just elevated by just having those two things, like, were literally night and day. Like,
is there not crouching in Last of Us Part 1 or like in the original?
No, I'm sorry. Did I say crouch? I meant prone and dodge. I said the wrong things.
Yeah,
my bad. Sorry.
Gotcha.
My bad. Prone and dodge. My bad. Yeah. Like, we're like being able to prone in tall grass and like wait for someone to walk by or whatever, or like even being able to shoot and aim while in prone, right? In like Part 2, and that dodging that just made hand-to-hand combat just have another level of depth to it too. Like, I'm gonna miss those in Part 1. And like, I think out of those two, if I had to pick one, I would love to see Joel have a dodge mechanic in Part 1, you know?
Do we know that that's not in it?
I mean, I feel like at this point they would have
on Twitter, but I could be wrong.
So that was a GDC talk, which I watched as well, from 2014, where they were talking about some of the things that were not in the final release of Last of Us, but were in alpha builds, and Joel was dodging in that.
Yeah, okay, that's what I saw.
Yeah, which I'm like, oh man, like,
because that was cool. That made it really tense to get in like fist fights, and you could like get the upper hand. Like, it didn't mean like when you got in a fist fight, or like with in a fight with someone who had like a weapon, like the big people who had the like pickaxes and stuff in Part 2. Like, it didn't mean you were automatically dead.
Yeah.
Like, if you were skilled enough, like you could kind of like juke around him and whatever. Yeah. Okay. That's actually kind of bums me out. I didn't know that wasn't in it.
Yeah. I mean, they they gave their reasons, right? Like they said it was more of like a stylistic choice and just like wanting to prioritize certain things in combat, and just like they felt like the dodge like added a little bit too much in terms of that original game, which is like, hey, it is what it is, right? But like
That's fair.
Now that we're remaking it, it
Yeah,
would have been cool,
Throw it in there. Yeah.
And the like prone thing, like, okay, people have made the argument like, like they're gonna have to go back and like redo a lot of those combat zones to facilitate prone, which I get, but like at the same time, if you're saying that you're rebuilding it from the ground up for PS5, and
Kevin,
like,
man, like
there's a big tug and pull.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I understand that you couldn't just go and take the original Last of Us and put prone in it and have it just work, because those combat areas, the level design isn't meant for that. It's not supported that. But if you're making the game from the ground up,
precisely,
you could it doesn't have to be every single room is copy and pasted. You know what I mean? You could make it so that you could rework some areas and stuff so that prone stuff does work for that. But
which, hey, I get.
I'm on the same page as you, man.
Like, I'm no dev, right? I don't know what goes into that. However, when you say rebuild, like,
right,
what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, I'm like, okay, like we're gonna go and do some work. I'm saying, but oh well, it is what it is.
Yes.
So my hope is that the AI and the motion matching, specifically with the motion matching, I hope that adds a level of fluidity that is similar to part 2 in terms of the way Ellie's able to just like everything's buttery smooth in that gameplay. Like, I love part 2 gameplay. Like, everything's buttery smooth. So like, I'm hoping that makes part 1 gameplay analogous to that part 2 experience, right? And I hope the AI, if it is as sophisticated as part 2, like, I hope that does like have a different element in the combat. But I am gonna miss dodge. We'll see.
100%, man.
We'll see. But they did cite some additional render modes as well. One that looks like the Matrix, and they highlighted like a gameplay modifier that seemed to be like headshot kills only. Not sure if that's actually true, but it was like a very quick clip where when they say like additional gameplay modifiers and Joel one-shot kills not zombie, a runner, right? So not sure if that's actually one, but I just noted that in the notes. There's an evolved photo mode, that's cool as well. Permadeath mode, where it's like, yo, you got one life from the whole game, you can't die. A lot of people love that.
Yeah, that was a big thing because that came out a few months after like Last of Us 2, right? And like I saw someone, they paused the game while they were climbing on like one of the ropes where you had to like swing, and they unpause it and hit the circle button twice, and they just let go of the rope, fell to their death, lost like 3 hours of progress. Yeah, their reaction was like exactly like yours. They're just sitting there holding the controller, like mouth open, silent, just like. Yeah, I like. It's not for me.
I want to try it.
I'm glad it is for people. Like, people love that sort of stuff. Not for me, but yeah, I can't. I can't even risk it.
That stream would be hilarious. Permadeath, like, bro. We'll see.
That's like tense. Like, you're gonna like that's gonna be really tense, But
yeah, like I still feel like I could okay, let me not talk. I feel like with a lot of work. But Last of Us Part 2 is tough because that's like a 30-hour game. Bro.
That is a long game.
That's a lot of things to know. And like
15? Yeah.
Yeah. Last of Us 1, yeah, like I say, it's like, honestly, I think it's like 13, 12 maybe, at the low end. Yeah, like
10 to 15, I think.
Yeah, like Last of Us 1, permadeath mode, I don't think it's going to be, definitely not as hard as Part 2 just because it's half the size. Like, there's no shot,
Exactly.
Speedrun mode as well in the game. A big speedrun community for Last of Us. A lot of people love that. Something that I didn't see coming, but unlockable outfits and skins for weapons as well. There's some Jack and Daxter love in here. There's some just general Naughty Dog love, Uncharted love as well. So really cool for those outfits. I'm not going to use it. I just like to, like if I'm playing someone, I want to see what they're wearing, and have that be the artistic choice. That's just me, but
my whole thing always comes back to like, yo, I didn't design this.
That's
like I'm not
saying.
like I'm not a character designer. Like I'm gonna leave that in the hands of the people who are.
Like if I'm making a character,
that's cool though. Like a cool option.
Cool. Model viewer mode is in there as well. If you want to like look at those glorious models, have fun with that. And one of the last few things here is over 60 accessibility options, and for the first time in the PlayStation game, audio description modes that will audibly describe every scene for those that need it. That 60 number just calls back to part 2. They had a similar number there as well. I'm assuming if you look at the part 2 options, that's probably what they're working with here with the Last of Us Part 1 options. So yeah, always a great thing to see. You love to see it, you know.
That's what I mean. I think Sony's accessibility options have been pretty stellar. I mean, since for a few years at this point, and it's always just so nice to see, like, hey, here's what's going to be in it, like bringing that stuff to the forefront, just so people can be able to enjoy the game, you know, and experience it. Indeed,
it's always good, always a positive thing. Two more things here. We have they cite revamped art direction and just like the overall just environments of the game. We've seen plenty of stills like, yo, this joint looks really nice. You know, it looks real good. I'm very excited to see a lot of the environments right there in the first game. We've seen a ton in footage that we've really gotten for the game, but it's looking really great. And the last thing is the workbench animations from part 2. Yeah, I didn't expect. Did not expect.
That stuff's cool.
Heck
That's a really cool detail in part 2 that, like, it takes something that's like kind of just like a mundane video game mechanic, you know what I mean, of like upgrading your stuff and like spending points on whatever to, like, you know, shoot better and do whatever. Like, it turns just like a really simple menu into something that's like cool to engage with. And like, I don't know, anytime I got like something new, I was so excited to see like what was the animation for it, you know what I mean? It's like taking off something off the top or like whatever. I'm like, this is cool. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, this, and they say that haptic feedback will be in the workbench as well, so like you'll feel cool. You know, Joel unscrewing a silencer or whatever, or like, you know, slapping a scope on the rifle, whatever. And yeah, that's pretty much the core basis of what we know about this game so far. I'm sure there'll be more details going. It has gone gold already. Congratulations, has already gone gold. Yeah, you know, it's not getting a delay as far as we're aware. But
I hope.
Yeah, right. Can you imagine? I gotta go. That'll mess up my whole episode schedule, man. Here. What the hell? Man. You know what I'm saying? But
totally.
A couple ending questions as we kind of like round out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What's your history with The Last of Us? When did you play it? You know, what's your overall history with it? Yeah.
So when did it come? So it came out in like 2013.
Yeah,
right?
it came out June 2013, like right before E3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was going into my sophomore year of high school, and I played it that summer. My older brother had it, and he was like, "Yo, you gotta check this out." And I played it over the course of 2 weeks or so, and like, I obviously like I'd played a lot of video games up to that point, but I just remember thinking like, "Wow, this was like really something." You know, this is like, you know, at that point, I think Breaking Bad was over and like Walking Dead was like at its like real big height and whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I just remember being like, this is like one of those shows, you know, and it's cool because up until that point, like, I might be wrong, but like I hadn't really ever played a video game that sort of elicited that sort of reaction out of me. And so like from that point onwards, I was just like hooked with this series and just like in love with these characters and in love with this story. And like, yeah, like I've been a fan ever since, and I replayed it for in anticipation of part 2. I played it with my girlfriend. She loves it because I think it's a good game to play with someone else who's like not necessarily like super into video games, because it's just so cinematic. You know, you're able to like watch those cutscenes and whatever, and it really reads like it's more like a movie or a you know, like an HBO TV show or something. I mean, it's getting an HBO TV show, but so from there I played part 2, loved that as well, and then now we're here. I am excited for this. I don't know how you're feeling on it all, but like I am, as a fan of The Last of Us, excited to see this new game in like exactly, you know, how you sort of remember it to look, especially when you look at the flashback scenes in part 2.
Yeah, no, like, I mean, we can, you know, of course we have criticism like, oh, you know, like I wish Dodge and Prone were in there, stuff like that, and like, you know, and I said in a thumbnail and like in a video recently where I'm like, it was right after all this like info came out about part 1, where I just feel like it's just almost there, like for me, like if we had that like gameplay fully be on part 2 level, right, like that would have been, you know, a whole other thing, right? But no, I love The Last of Us. Like I've you know, I actually did not play it until the remastered, right? And even that
really?
I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, and like even that I didn't like hands-on play it until maybe like 2015, 2016, maybe something like that. I was late to playing it, but back in the day, you know, when Last of Us came out, so 2013, how old was I? I graduated 2013. Damn, does that check out right? Yeah, I guess it does. Huh. Okay. Yeah, I was a sophomore in high school too.
Yeah.
I guess I wasn't working yet, so like I didn't have disposable income to just like go and like buy it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
My parents were like, "Yo, here's your annual COD," which like that's all I pretty much asked for, really. You know, like and like I didn't feel like I could ask for other games and stuff like that. But I watched Chris Move play it. Do you remember
No
Chris
kidding.
Move?
Okay.
Yeah,
man.
So I watched his playthrough, and that was my first, you know, experience in The Last of Us. And for me, I have a very similar thought of you, but like I remember like having this like residual feeling of like, you know, I don't think number one, a game like this has never been done before. Number one, right? And like maybe there's, you know, I'm sure there's other examples of games that like fit this same like statement that I'm like about to say, but like I truly feel like Last of Us like changed what games could be. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, like
I think it shaped what PlayStation was
100%.
doing with all their first party stuff.
Yeah,
like all of their first party stuff. Like, yeah, of course they were doing Uncharted and whatever else before all this. Infamous, yeah. But like this like character driven, story focused single player experiences, like your Horizons, your, you know, revamped God of War, Spider-Man, whatever else. It feels like is all like directly inspired by the way that The Last of Us' story is told.
100%.
So like I think you're right on the money there, man. Like totally.
Yeah, like it's obviously like incredibly important to PlayStation like as a brand, right? And like as an IP.
Yeah.
And like I just loved like just this. I mean, what like I'll never forget like wrestling with was like, damn, like after everything I did in this game, after everything I've been through, right? Like,
yeah,
did I play as a bad guy? You know?
Yeah.
And like, I would love to like have that debate at like some point, because like I just think it's great. Where like some people are like, yeah, no, like Joel's a bad guy. You know, like what he did at the end of the game, like that's like you can't come back from that, right? And some people, you know, are like, no, like it was out of love. Like, yes, it was a bad act, but like the intent was out of love. You know what I'm saying? So like,
yeah,
I remember and like I just will never forget like thinking like, damn, like I've never had a game like made me think and like wrestle with like what I just did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
Love it.
Totally.
Yeah. Last was great, and I'm a huge factions fan. Not sure if you play a lot of factions. It's cool. I get it. It's cool. It's cool.
I played a little bit when I was younger. I wasn't like really like into like online multiplayer games in that way. I've got some feelings about factions as it relates to Last of Us Part 2 specifically, based on what that game's about and all that. So I'll be interested to see what they end up doing with whatever they're doing for this upcoming factions release, because that's not due until like 2023, I think.
Yeah, it's like 2023. Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see if they can address the feelings that I sort of have about it in terms of like what Last of Us 2's like narrative is about versus like what factions is about as a game.
Right.
But I think it's a fun mode. I think it's an interesting multiplayer mode for sure. That isn't just, you know, team deathmatch and whatever. I think it's got some cool stuff to it. Yeah,
I just love it because like it, you know, you like, I think you were getting at, right? Like the like narrative of like the factions mode itself, where like factions mode in the original game like does have like a story implication, right? And like you have like, oh, like here's what you're doing and like here's what you're reaching towards, right? You're like helping out your clan, you're getting resources, you're getting supplies after every match and all that. And I just love that concept of like them weaving in like a narrative like with the multiplayer, kind of like the like the original Titanfall kind of tried to do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like in like a very like loose but similar way. But yeah, I love factions. I'm definitely thirsty for it. You know, we'll get it 2023.
you.
You know what I'm saying? And yeah. Side note, what I thought Factions 2, back when they delayed it, right? I thought we would have still gotten it for part 2, like as an update. And I thought it was just gonna be the Seraphite War. You know how they talk about the WLF and Seraphite War. I thought that's what that was going to be, right? And it was going to be like very similar to the original Factions, and you're gaining territory, right? You're doing the same supply getting and all that, right? But clearly, it's going to be a lot more than that. It's telling its own narrative. San Francisco, all that. That's a whole different topic. But yeah. Oh, we covered the second question. Do you like Factions? There we go. Boom. Bow. Look at that.
There it is. Boom. Easy.
We covered Last of Us. I mean, yeah, we probably covered Last of Us. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like, dude, you have any, like, big thoughts about, like, I feel like you already covered it, right? Like what, like, Last of Us means to you, like, as a game and as an IP, right? We both pretty much love it.
Yeah.
It's pretty much, yeah.
It's one of those things that, like, I think it is a really easy recommendation for just about anyone. I mean, maybe not kids, but, like, like, if someone's like, hey, I bought a PlayStation 4, or I guess 5 at this point with the, you know, the remake, what do I need to play? It's like, Last of Us 1, Last of Us 2, and then come back and I got some other recommendations for you once you get through those. But, like, you know, like, I think that, like, they're just really, really solid games that I think people should experience at least once.
Indeed. Yeah, I obviously love this IP, and, like, you know, aside from the you know, things that, like, I wish were in Remake, right? Like, I cannot wait to see this game looking.
I'm excited to just, like, play it again, man, and, like,
dude,
see it, like,
just see it again.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, dude, like some of those scenes, right? Like just see that, and, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like and like, of course, you know, a big thing that, like, Neil Druckmann has said directly, right? And, like, what they're definitely not trying to say is that, like, another part of why this exists is because the HBO show, right? And
Sure.
to me, I feel like that makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
To, like, have a more improved, a more accessible at that as well, like, just a better product for newcomers to come in to buy a PS5 and enjoy The Last of Us Part 1, right? For sure. And like, I have questions on that, on, like, you know, because PlayStation has, like, done this sometimes, or, like, they, like, for example, like, they'll delist, like, you can't buy the PlayStation 4 version of Ghost of Tsushima anymore on the PlayStation
is that
Store.
true?
Yeah, like, they do things. So, like, I'm fearful of, like, I don't think they would, but, like, are they gonna delist the remaster? I'm like, there's no shot, right? Like, I'm like, y'all wouldn't do that. I'm a little scared. You know what I'm saying? Because I think the same thing is with Death Stranding as well. I believe no. Death Stranding is still separate. There's another example too, but, like, there's been some mess with that where, like, there's some delisting things that happen. I know for sure Ghost, like, you cannot buy the PS4 version, at least on PS5. I'm sure on PS4 you can, but, like, specifically on PS5, you can't go back and buy the PS4 version of Ghost. Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does.
But I'm like, I don't know if they would do that.
No, I get that fear, because I mean, like, that is, like, a pretty common practice for a lot of, you know, publishers whenever they have a remake or remaster or something like that. Like, you look at, like, the GTA remake or whatever that was from, was that last year? I think, where they, like, took down all their ports and whatever on Steam and whatnot. And, like, I think that's, like, a totally legit fear, but I think that, like, this is a completely, like, if they're gonna build this as a completely separate game, then they should treat it like it. You know what I mean? And let the remastered be what it is, and let this be what it is, so that you can go back and see them if you want.
Yeah, I still feel like they're probably not, but I have a low-key fear. You know what I'm saying? But, like,
of course, yeah.
But, like, you can't do. Oh, dude, can you imagine people gonna be pissed?
The people would be mad.
People gonna be pissed. That shit gonna go crazy. Oh man, that thing is gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
And it's on the PS Plus collection as well. So I'm curious of, like, if you do take it down, like, are you gonna?
Yeah.
There's no way you're swapping it for the remake. There's no shot.
On the PS Plus collection?
Yeah, like, there's no shot.
Way.
There's no way. I mean, that'd be great, but, like, there's no way they're gonna do that, you know. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Any Last of Us hot takes? I said Last of Us because we'll, you know, maybe extend the part 2. Why not? You know, why not?
Yeah. I mean, like, not really. Well, I've got a controversial opinion about Factions that I sort of talked about, where, like, this is a whole other conversation, but just like on the very surface level, I think that The Last of Us Part 2 is kind of a condemnation of like factions in general, not the game, but like the idea of like us
senseless
versus them.
killing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and
I
like
feel you.
factions is a multiplayer game about us versus them, sort of like senseless killing, kind of, right?
I feel you. I feel you.
And so unless the upcoming factions standalone game is able to address that sort of stuff and have that sort of those sort of story elements that can say like, hey, here's what this means and here's what we're saying about this, then I worry that that it would just be then I worry that Naughty Dog would be going against the messages that I think they tried really hard to impart in Part 2. I don't think that means like, you know, it doesn't mean people shouldn't play it. Like, I think it's awesome. Like, it's a fun video game. But I think when it comes to like, here's the message of this game versus like, here's what we're doing, I think it could potentially muddy the waters. But it's not out yet. So, like, there's no way to tell. Other than that, no. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you like?
I don't know if I have any like. I mean, all my hot takes are just like they're not that hot. Maybe lukewarm. Maybe hot to some people. You know what? I do have some, but they're hot to some people, but not like you and me, right? We're like,
yeah.
I think The Last of Us Part 2 is one of the greatest games ever made, period. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, listen, man, look.
Agreed.
Like, look. If you're like, okay, there are two type of people that don't like Part 2, right?
Yeah.
There are those that like bring up just stupid shit. That's like, okay, your opinion is null and void now. Like I can't even listen to you.
Who like, it's not even a conversation. It's just like, oh, you believe that? Okay, well then like I don't care what you have to say.
Exactly. Like if it's that, it's like I just can't even like interface with you, right? But if you want, I mean, like, and you know, I could sit here and say, hey, Part 2 has issues, right? I think it's you know, pacing is questionable. You know, I do think that the you know, the now famous, you know, Abby switch does feel like it halts the momentum of the story and the overall pace. Totally get that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like it's not perfect, but fuck, man. Like,
no, dude, agreed.
Oh my god, dude. Like I streamed the whole thing in like 6 days, right?
Okay.
And like I've never had a game do this to me, right? I haven't played it we're coming on 2 years.
Yeah.
Just over 2 years, right? I literally have flashbacks, and I remember very vividly like streaming and like being in my apartment, very, very silent because no one lived with me at the time. And like I remember certain sections of Part 2 that like feel like real tangible memories that I did. You know what I'm saying? Like
100%.
It was such a like it was such a like I've never had the game stick with me like that before, and like I still don't feel like I'm ready to play it again. You know?
Yeah, I get that.
I've still only played it once. Literally once. I went back to it with the 60 frames update and got some gameplay from there and did like a gameplay encounter. But other than that, I still don't feel like I'm fully like ready to go through it again. You know, and just like the amount of like just the shit you go through in Part 2, man. Like it's a brutal fucking game. It's brutal, bro.
Yeah. And you know, I think you hit the nail on the head too. Like obviously not everyone who doesn't like it don't like it because they're bigots. Like like you don't have to like the game. Like it's your opinion. Like you're allowed to have it, whatever. But like, yeah, man, it is like so. It's so good.
It's a masterpiece.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Are you going to, once you finish Part 1, go and play Part 2? Because like that's sort of where I'm
I
at.
might. I just
like,
might. We'll see if I'm ready. We'll see. I just might. I just might, man. Because Part 2. I mean, Part 1 is leading right into the fall. We got like big games like Gotham Knights. I'm trying to play. You know what I'm saying? So like we're gonna get into a busy crowd. Modern Warfare 2. We got of course Ragnarok. I do want to play. So like I might not have time then, but come around Christmas time. Yeah. Like post Game Awards. You know, that might be a good spot. You know, we'll see. We'll see. But I can never see myself like wanting to play Part 2 like immediately after. You know, for sure. We'll see. We'll see. And the last question, the last question I have for this whole thing, you know, part of the title. Do you feel that The Last of Us Part 1 for PS5 should exist? And here we can talk about price point. We can talk about however you want to take this. Like, do you feel that this should exist?
Yeah. Okay. I think like anytime anyone makes any art, I think that's awesome. And I think that when people will be like, you know, people in the comments for movies or video games or whatever will be like, who is this for? And like, I get what that question's asking, right? About like audience or who is this being made for? But I think it misses the point of like why we make art at all is like, oh, it's because we like to express ourselves, right? So for like to ask like, should this exist? Yeah, because I think people had a vision to make this, right? But on the other hand, it's also like, do we need this? Because The Last of Us already exists and it's playable right now. And like, as you're experiencing in the year 2022, it's still a good video game that like, I don't know. When I played it 2 years ago, I thought it held up pretty well, right? Yeah. I imagine there's probably some places where, you know, it might be a little sketchy here and there, but like, all in all, it's still like fantastic game. It doesn't need to exist. This remake doesn't need to be doing what it's doing, especially because there are so many areas that, you know, as we talked about, that we sort of are like, well, if it's going to exist, maybe they'll add this aspect to it. Maybe they could have added this aspect to it to really justify it being around. That said, like, I think the accessibility stuff in here, like, really is the answer is yes. Because, like, from what I've seen, I don't know if it was from Disabled Gamers or if it was from Can I Play That? They're two, like, accessibility advocate groups and publications. They were saying that, like, the original Last of Us is kind of unplayable for people with certain disabilities. And so the fact that it's going to have everything The Last of Us 2 had and more just opens the doors to let other people play it. But from a take of like someone who's already played the original, who loves the original, my answer is, I'll play it. I love The Last of Us. Of course I love The Last of Us. Of course I'm going to play this. Of course I'm going to love it. But at the end of the day, does it need to exist? I don't know.
Yeah, very well said. I'm in a similar spot, maybe with like a few little different, you know, curves in the paint, if you will. So I do understand and like very much like agree with the case of number one, accessibility, right? That's of course that's a given. That's always a good thing, right? I also understand, you know, if I'm gonna, you know, put on my suit and tie a little bit, right? The more business side of like, hey, wanting to have a better version of this in time for the HBO show. I get that. Yeah. You know, they did a similar thing with the Legacy of Thieves collection for Uncharted. For and Lost Legacy when the Uncharted movie came out. You know, came out about 3 weeks to like it was like 3 weeks before the movie came out, you know? Yeah. And a lot of my friends bought that collection. Yeah, totally. You know? Like it's like, oh, okay, so like I like having, you know, friends that also like aren't like super into games, right? And like kind of see like what their patterns do, right? Because like that's literally what my cousin did and what my friend did. You know, they went out and bought that collection, right? So I get that there is going to be a potential audience that they see for this, right? For sure. And I think it would be an unequivocal yes, right? If we had some of those gameplay features that we talked about, like prone, like dodge, right? And if they did go in and like rework some of the combat environments, right, to facilitate those features and everything, and like really like if they definitively made The Last of Us Part 1 like, hey, this is Last of Us if we truly made it in 2022. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
And I just think, just from my perspective, like it's almost there. Like it just doesn't quite seem like it's gonna be exactly like if it were to be made in 2022. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like that's where I'm like, I can't say like yes, right? But I can't tell you, hey, yo, listen, I love The Last of Us. I love my PS5, right? And like, you know what I'm saying? You can say whatever you want, but yo, for 70, yes, I'm gonna buy this joint. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to see it, you know?
It's like, you know, we've seen, I think, is it Horizon Forbidden West is the only first party Sony game that is like one of those graphical powerhouses that's come out on PS5. Well, no, because
I
actually
agree.
Miles Morales. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is the first like PS5 exclusive first party Sony game that is like really, really killing it with that facial capture and killing it with that super high res environment design. You know, I'm not trying to talk, smack on anything else that came out, but like this is just one of those games that like when you think Sony, you think Last of Us, you think this, you think that, and this is like exclusively on the PS5. Horizon, it's on the PS4 too. God of War, it's gonna be on the PS4 as well. I'm not trying to like dunk on that because I also think that's probably fine, but like this is an experience made for the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep, I hear you. And on top of that, even like they're with this release, they're gonna facilitate two future markets. One, the people that are gonna be buying into the HBO show, right, and feel called to play the game, right? Mm-hmm. And on the inverse effect, the PC crowd. We are seeing crazy net revenue on that front, right? Of like them just making like so much net profit off of this little ROI by just bringing an established PlayStation game to PC, right?
Yeah.
And so to give them this, right? Like, so it's like, I think we're seeing it all line up, and like I definitely see where it makes sense. For me, I just wish that like it just was a little bit, just a little bit more than what it is, because like, yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. We're like, yeah, like I definitely see why this exists. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Do I feel this game should exist? Period. Yeah, like I see plenty of reasons for it. You know what I'm saying? After like seeing it, right? I think if you were to ask me to like, I think if you were to ask anyone like a year ago, like, do we feel that the original Last of Us needs a remake? I would probably say maybe if they're gonna do anything, maybe a PS5 patch of the remastered.
Yeah.
Right. I think that could be something that's feasible, but I don't know about a full on remake, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just seeing this, right? And ultimately, where I'm at too is like I've been trying to also push really hard that like I want to save full judgment until I play this game.
Of course.
Straight up. You know what I'm saying? Because like people are making a lot of grandstanding accusations, right? And it's like,
yes.
I definitely never want to do that, so ultimately like we'll see how I feel when the game comes out. But
and it's coming out soon. We got, what is the let's see the calendar.
Oh, I didn't
36 days.
I didn't check how long how many is it? So 36.
36.
That's of today. So we're gonna have to subtract 3 every time. So 33 days, because it's Sunday. Sure. Technically, it's Sunday. Yeah. So 33 days until we're just under a month. Very excited, and that's and next week is when I'll bring in news. I just felt like let's just lay out what this is first for the first episode. I don't want the news later on, but until then, Peter, where can the people find you?
Find me on Twitter at Peter Szptek. That's PeterSpittech. You can find my podcast, Hitbox, on whatever podcast service you're listening on. I think that's kind of it. I mean, if you want to read some guides about Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I'll be doing those by the time this goes live on GameRanks.com. I mean, just find me on Twitter there. And
I have your Twitter, your Hitbox podcast, and also your portfolio in the description.
Oh yeah, I see that. Thanks, man.
I figure why not pimp the portfolio as well. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
And this has been the first episode of Road to Part 1, the weekly podcast series dedicated to any and all things Last of Us Part 1, from news, lore, reactions, and upon release, our review and maybe spoiler cast. We'll see. You know what I'm saying? Catch the show here on YouTube.com/Plays and Source, as well as podcast services just like Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, etc. All that great stuff via the anchor link down below in the description. Down below as well, find our Twitter and our Discord server. Get in tune with those as well. Like and tell me what you don't like about the game or the show or the game. Why not? Tell me why you like or why you don't like part 2. As long as you have legitimate claims for part 2. You know what I'm saying? Not a, you know what I'm saying. Yeah. If you're feeling generous, feel free to hit the join button to become a member of the channel. With the Prince tier, $1, you get to be with your boy Tapiwa Musa, and our $5 King tier members, just like Caleb Kaiser, the homie Arachnite, and the homie Owen as well. And that's about it. Good first episode. I'll see you next week. on episode 2. Oh wait, no, I forgot. That's not the outro. Okay, here's the outro. Okay, when I say thank y'all for watching, and as always, I will do a little pause, and then we both say greatness awaits.
Love it.
You feel me?
Great.
Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Thank y'all for watching, and as always, greatness,
Greatness
awaits.
awaits.
Killed it. Nailed it.
Love it. I love it.